What's good with the YouTube? You already know Big Flocka with a convict's perspective, and I'm gonna smash, dash, and slide on through that little bit of energy. What's cracking, people? Hope you guys had a positive, inspired day yesterday, man. You guys start today brand new as well, man. Keep it moving, keep pushing, keep striving, man. Now, please hit the hit the subscribe, comment, like button, all those things to help the algorithm. And man, hit that bell notification one time for your boy, man. So today's gonna be a topic, man. If the Norteños and Surenos unite completely in this system, right? What would who would be running the system? What would occur? Okay, I think a lot of people would have to agree, right? That the Norteños, Surenos, the Surenos, Norteños are probably the top two cars in the system, man. That's without a doubt. They're fearless. They have dedicated soldados. They have a lot of numbers. Um, and with that, they have quality individuals as far as on these lines ready to make the ultimate sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? That's without a doubt. As compared to the whites, yes, the whites are a strong faction in itself, but they're lower in numbers. And they do have those that will go the distance, but not the numbers that can compete with either one of these groups. That's just my personal opinion, especially them being united. Okay. It doesn't mean that they won't win some victories, but the whole you know what I'm saying, number game has a lot to do with this. The black gangs, Crips, Bloods, Kumis, Jamas, yes, they are they're strong. You know what I mean? A lot of what I'm saying, blacks got hands, they can fight. That's without a doubt, man. That's been established for years. Um, but the dedication as far as to go the length of distance, with pieces, making pieces and whatnot, man. There's a lot of lack of discipline and a lack of agreement sometimes within these factions. Now, they're the only ones that would be a formidable force against the North and South if they were to unite. But we all know for the majority aren't going to play with pieces, right? And the line of discipline and control that either one of these groups have over each other is really limited. I think there would be a lot more internal conflict amongst them if they were trying to unite forces to withstand against any of these Latino groups. You know what I'm saying? And that's not to sit there and take any shots because, like I said, a lot of these black dudes are with it, man. Look at the Pelican Bay incident when the Surenos rushed the blacks on the yard, that big riot. There was about 6 or 8 of them that were straight soldiers that got that wave, had their back to the wall, and went at it. You know what I'm saying? But there was a lot of other ones that were half stepping it, though. You know what I'm saying? Because as soon as people take out their knives, it changes the whole element of the game. There's no AKs, there's no fucking, choppers, there's none of that stuff out there in prison yard. You have a piece. And you're going to really figure out who's who in that type of circumstance. Nortenos and Surenos are known to play with pieces. You know what I'm saying? Without hesitation. They're known to put like 2 or 3 people on one dude just to take their life. That's the level of commitment, and that's what will separate them from a lot of other groups. You know what I'm saying? Now, if it was just all pieces, if there's no pieces, all hands, it's going to be a different ballgame. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a total different ball game. And if the black forces were united, you know what I'm saying? It was just no pieces hands. Even with the number games, it's going to be hard. It'd be a hard one for the North and South, and that's just the truth of it, man. But everything's changed. The way these groups operate, the discipline, the structure, the commitment by its that are actively in the mix. It's going to be a hard one to really compete. Now, I'm not trying to throw no shade at any group or trying to insinuate that there's any type of issues. It'd be better for all convicts to get along and push a positive agenda. You know what I'm saying? But the reality is not everybody's going to get along. You know what I'm saying? And so I was throwing this idea out there because people have said it in the comments. North and South unite, it's a wrap. I mean, that's an additional. The South is already deep, and they've already a force to been reckoned with since day one. Saying you add the Norteños into the equation, that's a strong force to be reckoned with. If you even were to add the Bulldogs into that, man, it's game over, 100%. It will force other groups to either build different alliances or it'll force other groups to have to go for broke. You know what I'm saying? One thing that in the system that has been proven time and time again, when there's a threat of oppression from any particular group, right, it's going to give off to a movement of other soldados that are willing to fight against that. See, that's the thing that I've always said since day one with all this, raza getting along behind the walls is don't forget where you come from and don't forget your purpose, man. Don't turn into the old ways of oppression to where because you have the numbers and strength that you start to victimize other gente. That's not what the Norteño Lucha or cause was about. And that's the only thing that I have to really acknowledge on that. I think everybody knows that it'd be a wrap. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to any of these other groups, but the North and South, if they were to unite, if they were to bring back some of the SY individuals that fell off because of political situations and the Bulldogs, man, you know what I'm saying? United you stand, divided you fall. You know what I'm saying? And it's been years where all these groups have been going at it against each other. You know what I'm saying? Who are the North and South's main opposition? Their own raza behind the walls. Those are facts. You know what I'm saying? Because truth be told, a lot of times each group doesn't really care about any of the other races as far as viewing them as a threat. It's always been focused around their own fucking bloodline, their own heritage. And therefore, man, for the North and South uniting, a lot of things could get done, man. Like I said, but I would be more of an advocate for all convicts to unite towards common goals to bring forth better services. Injustice against the system, the criminal justice system. Those are the things that I think would be more important as opposed to trying to be the strongest group behind the wall. Now, gangs are going to exist, conflicts can exist behind the walls, but I think the end all hostilities proved one thing: that regardless if you have, conflicting beliefs, conflicting alliances does not mean that you cannot align towards a common goal and achieve those that's going to affect everyone. That's going to help everybody, you know. And the end all hostilities is a lot more important than people realize because, it stamps everything that people have said that what would happen if convicts were to be able to unite. You know what I'm saying? And now you got the system who's trying to use the non-designated program yards, other means of disciplinary procedures to get people locked up back in the shoe. Saying as we know, Todd Asker's already back in the shoe, or Hole, whatever you want to call it. A couple other individuals. Why? Because they're upset at what happened. The control mechanism of a prison yard, is based upon who got the numbers, who got the product, and who has the strength and alliances and has the resources there. You know what I'm saying? It's what you call sewing up a yard. Now, with all these groups being able to coexist, they're able to sew up these yards a lot more stronger. And people ask themselves, well, where does it leave each car? You know what I'm saying? Well, the whites have been pretty much programmed in conjunction with both the North and South. The only group that kind of seems to have a little bit of a distance would be the black groups. Now, I've heard in New Folsom that you've had some incidents with the Crips and Nortenos. We talk about the high desert thing, but I think if everybody was to be brought up into the fold, it wouldn't matter who's running things. You know what I'm saying? It would be just about fucking helping each other as convicts, man. And that's what it's supposed to be about. California built a whole different political type of prison politics based upon the way it's operated for fucking 50 years, based upon the North and South issues. That's what bred life into the politics that you see in California today, was basically the NFMA conflict. Before that, California operated just like any other prison throughout the United States. Where it could be a strength in numbers, but there was no really politics being on the yard. If you were a convict, you did not necessarily have to align with your race or group when you hit prison. Nowadays, it's the expectation when you get there. Where are you from? I'm from the North. Bam, Northern Hispanic, Southern Hispanic. They broke that separation that's been like that for years, has now been pretty much demolished. It doesn't mean that there's not issues or people don't harbor animosity for past issues, right? Let's not mistake that. But I think that, minds that have a whole analytical way of looking at things and looking at the benefits as opposed to the the consequences or the outlook of how others perceive them outweighs everything. Cause and effect. What can we reap from this if we are all on the same page? Doesn't mean that these groups always like each other. I'm sure that they have backdoor politics where there's conflict and whatnot. But North and South together, it'd be almost a wrap. Now, that's not to say that that's the goal of the gente, but I know in a couple places they've been pushing that raza unida amongst the elders. And the more that you have these type of reports and relationships that are being established, you see the comments every day from Surenos, Nortenos. Hey, I met dudes from down south. They were fucking south. This was my road dog. Same thing with dudes from Southerners. Yeah, I met some upstate vatos, man. They're pretty feeding. People are starting to look at people for who they are as individuals, not by what they associate themselves with. And I think that's more of an honorable thing, as opposed to fucking feeling a certain way. Well, okay, he's from up north, so you got to automatically hate him. No, it's not about that no more. It's about business. It's about prosperity, and it's about being out there on those lines so everybody can reap those benefits. Because when all the validation stuff happened, who was affected the most by it? Raza. When you went to corporate shoe, Pelican Bay shoe, and you went to the gang validated blocks, it was 90% raza. You were either Norteño, Sureño, NF, or MA. Those are fucking facts. Sprinkled in a few whites and a few blacks here and there, but it was mainly north and south, man. Everywhere I went in the shoe. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, instead of people trying to give life to, okay, they could run the system, which I really truly feel that if they wanted to, they would pretty much almost run any prison yard, right? Now, that's not to say that, these other groups would become victims, because they would have their share of the pie as well. But I think if the push came to shove and there was going to be any type of racial division or race war, you know what I'm saying, I'd have to give the North and South together a fucking, by far, you know what I'm saying, the overall fucking lead in this situation, at almost any institution. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, things do change though. Like a lot of these groups have different policies and procedures though. Like being on certain level ones, level twos may be acceptable for some other groups, where for North and South, it's not going to be acceptable. Right? So everybody wants to, draw the picture as far as what would happen if North and South united. Well, you're kind of starting to see it. You know what I'm saying? People are able to go to prison. They're able to do their time, follow their procedures. And if they want to get involved in the politics, they get involved in the politics, man. But it's real easy to get caught up in the crossfire of politics that are on a whole bigger, grander scheme of things. You know what I mean? So I'm curious to wonder, what does the downstate fellas who are in the feds think about this? Because we already know what time it was in the feds. They're separated because there was so much bloodshed. Where do they align with this issue? You know what I'm saying? And we already know where the fellas from up north, or the big ups, upstate or uptown fellas, where they stand, right? But do every one of them feel that way? I'm kind of curious on that. Or wouldn't they want their hand to be out there to be able to coexist without the threat of opposition? As long as no one's trying to oppress or dictate anything too much, there shouldn't be an issue. But what I've been hearing is, it seems like each group, even though they're united towards a common goal, within their own inner politics, there's a lot of fucking control mechanisms within their own people. You can't freelance, you can't do this, you can't do that. There's too many rules of structure. That's the only issue that I see that's been occurring, is that there's been so many rigorous guidelines for people to follow from both sides, that what's going to be the fallout of that if that continues? You know what I'm saying? If people continually get killed at these prisons, right? What position are certain people going to have? You know what I'm saying? But in any event, I think this is an interesting topic to discuss. I think people have it on their mind. I know some people are going to sit there and say, man, well, fuck you about those, man. Fucking, you just want to fucking cause tension amongst certain groups. No, I'm just speaking reality and facts of how I perceive it. This is how I think, and this is how I look at it. I think that these groups, the North and South, could unite without having issues, without it turning into them trying to control the prisons in every other group and race. You know what I'm saying? The Norteños' ideologies are not supposed to be about that. And I think the Surenos are slowly, through their new leadership or new generation of big homies, don't have the same agenda as the old. You know what I'm saying? I think everybody looks at it, hey, we can all prosper, and it could be a better relationship if we work together. And people continue to use the past. Well, the bloodshed, the bloodshed, the bloodshed. I get that. But look at it from our standpoint. Look at our relationship with Japan. You know what I'm saying? At one time, they were fucking sending kamikaze missions at us, fucking Pearl Harbor, all that shit. We have a stronger relationship years later, even though there was bloodshed. The same could be said here. You know what I'm saying? If people want the bloodshed to stop, it has to stop somewhere. You can't always reflect upon the past. And it's easy for someone to sit there and speak about it who's at home, fucking at work, It has no fucking threat of ever going back to prison again. Like a lot of people are in these comments. It's really easy to sit there and say, fuck that, fuck them busters, fuck them scraps. But you're not the one going to prison. You're not the one on those lines. And at the end of the day, you don't make those rules. Like I said before, they make the rules. And whatever they say is going to go. And I think that there's in the last fucking like 6 years, there's been a whole different growing agenda for these groups. Interstate Compact, free reign to, you know what I'm saying, network and communicate and, assist us to some extent. I mean, systems change, man. And I think the question that we used to sit there and say when we're in the system, right, a long time ago, many of us said that, what if the North and South were both together? Where would we be? Well, you're starting to see it today. And a lot of it is based upon what? Let's get that money. Let's get back out there and let's work together to get this bread. And for others, it's like, let's get high. And that's just what it is. It's as simple as that, man. Anyways, this is your boy Flacco, Convict's Perspective. This is just an opinion. These ain't facts. And I hope that nobody feels offended by anything I said. This is just how I perceive it from my convict's perspective. I'm out.